Hare Krishna. Welcome, Shastra-sār-Prada Prabhu, to this 9th session on Shri Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ with the commentary of Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī. And we have covered some verses from the beginning of the Eastern Division, Purva Vibhag, and we have seen the commentary of Shri Jīva Gosvāmī. So last time we had completed till verse number 5. Yes, we had done the Badavagni verse last time. And then Sri Rupa Goswami composes another verse also in the meter Arya. So from the previous session, is there anything from the previous verse that you wish to ask, Prabhu?
No, Prabhu.
Okay. So before we begin, we will do a small Mangalacharan and then I'll recite the verse. We'll try to understand word by word and then we will try to see the commentary. Please repeat after me. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam yena
Chakshurunmilitam yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Sthapitam Yena Bhutale
Thapitam Yena Bhutale
Soyam Rupah Kadamahyam
Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam
Dadati Swapadantikam.
Dadati Svapadantikam.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
So we are on the 6th verse, Mangalacharan verse of the Purva Vibhag, Pratham Lahari. That is the first wave of the Purva Vibhag, Eastern Division of Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ, 116. This verse is what you can call, there are in Mangalacharan, there are many types of Mangalacharans. There are 3 types: Ashirvadatmak, Namaskriyaatmak, Vastu Nirdeshat. So this verse is of the type Vastu Nirdeshatmak, which means it describes something about the literature, the purpose of the literature, the entity who is described in the literature. So basically anything which describes the literature or the main topic of the literature is Vastu Nirdeshat. So Rupa Goswami, if he is asked that why have you written this Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ, so Rupa Goswami composes a verse. Till now, he has not explained in detail what is the main purpose for writing Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ. So this is the verse in which he explains what is the main purpose for writing Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ. So please repeat after me. This verse is in the meter Arya. Bhakti-rasasya prastutir
Bhakti-rasasya prastutir
Bhakti-rasasya prastutir
Bhakti-rasasya prastutir
Akhila Jagan Mangala Prasangasya.
Akhila Jagan Mangala Prasangasya.
Akhila Jagan Mangala Prasangasya.
Akhila Jagan Mangala Prasangasya.
Agyena Pimayasya.
Agyena Bimayasya.
Agyena Pimayasya.
Agyena Bimayasya.
Kriyate Suhridam Pramodaya.
Kriyate Suhridam Pramodaya.
Kriyate Suhridam Pramodaya.
Kriyate Suhridam Pramodaya.
So, this is the verse in front of us. Now we have to understand the verse word by word. We will try to decode the verse, understand every word. So, Jīva Gosvāmī says, Bhakti-rasāsya prastutir akhila jagana mangala prasangasya agyenapi vayasya kriyate suhridam pramodaya. So, agyena api. Rupa Goswami, let's begin with this. Api. Can you see the term api in agyena api?
Yes, Prabhu.
Api. What does api mean?
Even though.
Even though. Agyena. By an agya. What is the meaning of agya?
Agya means one who does not have knowledge or.
So, by an ignorant soul. Maya. Like myself. So, agyena maya. By an ignorant soul like myself. Even though by an ignorant soul like myself, okay, kriyate. Kriyate means
I am doing.
Is being composed. So, is being composed by an ignorant soul like myself. So, what is being composed? What is being, is being executed. Let's just put it this way. It's being executed. So, what is being executed? Prastutihi. What is being executed?
Prastutihi.
Prastutihi. So, what is prastutihi? The presentation. What is presentation of what?
Bhakti-ras.
Bhakti-rasāsya. Of Bhakti-rasa. What is, how is that Bhakti-rasa? That Bhakti-rasa is Akhila Jagan Mangala Prasangasya. Akhila Jagan Mangala Prasangasya. So this is a big term. So we have to break it down. Akhila Jagan Mangala Prasangasya. So when we break down in English, we go in the reverse direction. Which direction do we go in the reverse direction?
Reverse.
So reverse direction. Okay, what is there in the reverse direction? Let's see what is there in the reverse direction. The reverse direction, the first term is prasangasya. What is prasanga?
Not sure, bro.
So prasanga basically, in which there is a discussion, or in which there is that discussion, or that event, which contains what?
All auspiciousness.
Mangala. For
The
Akhila
universe.
Jagat. For the entire
whole universe.
So, which contains So this presentation of Bhakti Ras which contains all auspiciousness for the entire world, is being executed. So is being executed by myself. Is being executed by myself, even though I'm a what? I'm
an ignorant soul.
Okay. But for what reason are you doing it?
So for
Pramodaya. Is being executed Pramodaya, for the joy. Whose joy?
For those who are very close to my heart.
For the joy of the near and dear ones. Okay. So can you try to read? Let's see if it makes a legible sentence. Please read.
This presentation of Bhakti Ras, which contains all auspiciousness for the entire world, is being executed for the joy of the near and dear ones, by myself, even though I'm an ignorant soul.
All right. So this is how we interpreted the verse. So this presentation, Prastutihi, of Bhakti Rasa, which contains the prasanga, which is like a container for all auspiciousness, Mangal, for Akhila Jagat, for the entire world. It is being executed. So it is being carried out. For which purpose? For the joy. For whose joy? Of those who are near and dear to me. So it is being executed by myself, even though I am Agya. So even though I am an Agya. What does Agya mean?
An ignorant person.
Ignorant. So this is the basic meaning of the verse. Anything to ask in this translation?
No, not yet, Prabhu.
Okay. Just to find which contains. All right. So this is the verse Durgama Sangamini. Jīva Gosvāmī starts commenting. Now you remember how last time I told you that there are many Pandits who do not agree that Bhakti should be categorized as a ras. So there are many Pandits who don't agree. So their speech was compared to Badwa Agni. So their speech was compared to Badwa Agni, and therefore Rupa Goswami he was praying that may their sharp tongues be controlled by the Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ, just as Badwa Agni is controlled by the Sindhu. Now, Rupa Goswami obviously does not want, he doesn't desire that they should completely be extinguished. Because from time to time, there should be some honest, thorough analysis, and there should be some opposition. That is what Vedic culture is. So, but, for whom are you writing this literature? Because many of these Pandits will never agree that Bhakti should be categorized as this. I gave you a few arguments last time. See, some recent Pandits have been there. Like there is one Altekar, Ane. They say these things that, a person is not born with, Bhakti. I told you, a person is not born with Bhakti. It almost seems that a person acquires bhakti at a certain point of time in their life. So bhakti doesn't seem to be like an innate part of the existence of every living entity. And then others, so other argument is also that bhakti is mainly with a deity. And in practical terms, the deity doesn't like really, interact on a day-to-day basis with the devotees. So therefore, it's not like a live interaction with a human being. So these are some of the opposing arguments given by some pandits. So I also gave the counter arguments to that. Basically, last time I had covered the counter arguments, some of the counter arguments to that. So Jīva Gosvāmī says, what is the mood of Rupa Gosvāmī? Mama Punar, and once again, Anukulanam Pratikulanam cha Panditanam Samadhane na Shakti. So there are Panditanam. So some Pandits are there. Some of them are Anukul. Anukul, what does Anukul mean?
Favorable.
Pratikula.
Unfavorable.
So Samadhane. So in harmonizing them, na Shakti. I don't have that capacity to harmonize Pandits who are favorable and unfavorable to my presentation of Bhakti Ras. So I can't make them all, sit on one table and, now resolve them. Why? So we have to understand why. Why Jīva Gosvāmī is saying like this. It's not because Rupa Gosvāmī does not have the scholarly capability. The thing is that these Pandits are, many of them have already passed away. They are in the past now. So they can't come and we can't make them sit on the same table and convince them. So they have, so I don't have the capacity because I can't bring all of those Pandits back to life and then, convince. Some Pandits are yet to take birth. So I don't have the capacity to make all of them sit on a single table and, harmonize their opinions about Bhakti Ras. So then why are you writing? Kintu, but etadartham, for this purpose only, eva kriyate, this work is being created. For which purpose? For this purpose. Which purpose? Iti aha. This purpose is specified in the verse beginning with Bhakti Rasasya iti. The verse begins with Bhakti Rasasya. So once again, the purpose of the verse has been specified. So Agyena iti. Rupa Gosvāmī ends up calling himself what?
Agya. He calls himself Agya.
Agya. So he calls himself Agya. So basic meaning of Agya is ignorant. What is the basic meaning of Agya?
Ignorant.
So basic meaning of Agya is ignorant. So basically, Jīva Gosvāmī is not happy with, once again, he is not happy with, Rupa Gosvāmī trying to call himself Agya. He said, Agyena iti purvavat. Just like before. Previously also he had called himself something which Jīva Gosvāmī did not like. So do you remember what Rupa Gosvāmī had called himself?
Varaka Rupa he called himself.
So he called himself Varaka Rupa. Very nice. So then Jīva Gosvāmī had given another meaning to the term Varaka Rupa. So Purvapa, just like, in Varaka Rupa, the Inya api. So even though this is spoken out of humility, the Inya, but I will interpret Agya. How does he interpret Agya? So na vidyate gyo yasmat. So this is the meaning of Agya. Na vidyate. There does not exist Gyaha, a bigger knower, Yasmat, in comparison to whom. So, in comparison to him, a greater knower does not exist. So that is Tena iti. So by such a person, Agyena iti gyayam. This should be understood. So this is how Agya is na vidyate gyo yasmat. This is how he interpreted it. So what is na vidyate gyo yasmat?
There's no greater knower of than yeah.
So in this I have a I have also a small personal footnote that I add, that agya can also be interpreted in another way. So you can say aha Vishnu tam janati iti agya. So the syllable refers to Krishna basically. You can say Krishna. Krishnas. So because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says Aksharanam Akarosmi. Amongst all the syllables, I am the syllable A. So means Krishna, Gya means Janati, one who knows Krishna. Becomes Gya basically. The knower of but refers to one Shri Krishna. But we will not go with my creative interpretation. We will go with what Jīva Gosvāmī says. Again, iti purva dainyapi. So na vidyate gyo yasmat tena iti gaya. But then somebody can make an put an objection. If you say like this, that if you take this meaning of agya, that by someone like me, who has no superior in learning, basically that is what the meaning becomes, right? Yeah. By someone like me who has no superior in learning.
Then so, api doesn't.
Api becomes, api, there's a big question mark as to why api. Like even by a person who is, that doesn't make sense. Even by someone like myself who has no superior. Why did you put api even there? So apir atra. So Jīva Gosvāmī says api swatah prayojana abhavam vyanjayati. So he indicates abhavam, lack of swatah prayojan, that any self motivation. So even though I am agya, even though I am the most learned, still I am creating, not for myself. Swatah prayojana bhava. So there is nothing for me in this, but sukritam pramodaya, but for the pleasure of my near and dear ones. I hope you are able to understand. So that is how api is to be interpreted here. So this is verse number 6. So anything to ask in this?
No, Prabhu.
So if this interpretation is taken, even though this is what will happen. So by myself, even though there is no superior to me in learning, then why did you put api? Because so it indicates that I have nothing for my benefit.
Yeah.
Everything for somebody else's benefit. So the Mangalacharan verses are over. Anything to ask in this previous verse?
No, Prabhu. I think that it fits very nicely, the alternate explanation of agya, just because although Rupa Goswami might not accept it, I feel like it's very true though, that it was definitely not for his personal benefit that he was composing.
Right. So this is how Acharyas there, writing their literature. So 1.1.7. So Eastern Division, first Lahari, 7th verse. Now the Anushtup verses, they are beginning. So Mangala Charan is over. Now Jīva Gosvāmī will let's read the commentary only first so that we understand. The commentary explains what is the purpose of the verses. Atha. What does Atha mean?
Now.
Henceforth. Grantham Arabdhum. Arabdhum, in order to begin. Commence. Commence what?
The book, Grantham.
The literature. But till now the literature had not commenced. Well, the Mangala Charan was going on. So in order to commence the main literature, Tat Paripatim Darshayati. So the sequence of topics in the literature are being shown. How? Etasya iti chaturvihi. By 4 verses beginning with which verse?
Etasya.
Etasya. So 7, 8, 9, 10. So these 4 verses will show the sequence in which we will be going. And then 11th verse will be our definition of bhakti. All right. So let's see this verse. Please repeat after me. Etasya bhagavad bhakti.
Etasya bhagavad bhakti.
Rasamrita-payo nidhe.
Rasamrita-payo nidhe.
Chatvara khalu vakshyante.
Chatvara khalu vakshyante.
Bhagah purvadayah kramat.
Bhagah purvadaya kramat.
Let's translate the verse. Chatvara khalu vakshante bhagah purvadayah kramat. So, kramat. What does kramat means?
Sequentially.
Sequentially. Sequentially. Chatvaraha. Four. What does chatvara mean?
4.
Bhagaha. Bhagaha means what?
Divisions.
Divisions. Purvadayah. Beginning with?
Purva vibha.
Beginning with Purva. That is east. Vakshante will be explained, or will be explained. Of this literature. Etasya. What is the name of the literature?
Bhagavad Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ.
So Payonidhi means
Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ. Yeah.
So Bhagavad Bhakti-rasāmṛta-payonidhi. Bhagavad Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ. Named Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ. Did we get all the terms? Hello.
Yeah.
Hello is certainly basic.
So
let's translate. Please read.
Sequentially, 4 divisions beginning with Purva, east, will certainly be explained of this literature, named Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ.
That's it. This translation. Anything to ask in this?
No, Prabhu.
Nothing. So this was the verse and the commentary. So verse number 8. So there is no commentary on 8th, 9th, 10th has a commentary. So 8th and 9th there is no commentary. So we'll just do a plain translation. All right. So this verse above just says that there will be, sequentially there will be 4 divisions. So which is the first division, beginning with which division?
Purva.
Purva. Then you go clockwise. From east, if you go clockwise 90 degree, which direction do you enter?
If you go clockwise, you go from east, you go to south.
So what will come next is Dakshin. And again, if you go clockwise,
You go to west.
Paschim. Again, if you go clockwise,
You go to north.
Uttar. So that's what he says. Kramena, sequentially. So 4 divisions will be explained, beginning with Purva. So once you have the beginning, then you can go clockwise. Clockwise has a significance in Vedic culture. Whenever you circumambulate, or whenever you go in a certain circle, the clockwise direction is preferred. Like when you are showing the dhoop, when you are showing the incense to Bhagwan. So in which direction is the incense? Does it take the clockwise or counterclockwise direction?
Clockwise.
Clockwise direction. So that is what it is, clockwise. Right? So if you see from a top view, if there is Bhagwan in the center and devotees are performing circumambulation or Govardhan Parikrama, if there is, you look from a top view, so the devotees are performing parikrama clockwise or counterclockwise fashion?
Clockwise only.
Clockwise. Right? When you perform parikrama clockwise, so the object of worship is to your right. I hope you are able to understand.
Yeah.
When you perform parikrama counterclockwise, the object of worship is to your left. So clockwise has importance in Vedic literature. Now 1.1.8 or 8th verse. So please repeat after me. Tatra purva vibhagesmin
Tatra purva vibhagesmin
bhakti bheda nirupake
bhakti bheda nirupake
chatvaraha khalu vakshante
chatvara khalu vakshyante
bhagaha purvadayah kramat.
bhaga purvadaya kramat.
Okay, so there is some mistake in the typing here. These 2 lines are, I think, repeated. So sorry, this is the verse. Let's do it again. Tatra purva vibhagesmin
Tatra purva vibhagesmin
bhakti bheda nirupake
bhakti bheda nirupake
anukramena vaktavyam
anukramena vaktavyam
laharinam chatushtayam.
laharinam chatushtayam.
So let's translate this. Tatra. Tatra means in this. In this. In this what?
In this
Tatra basically means here. Tatra means here. Asmin. Can you see asmin?
Yes, Prabhu.
So this is asmin. The is silent. So here in this purva vibhage. Here in this, which division?
Eastern Division.
Bhakti bheda nirupake.
The different types of bhakti will be, or differences.
Describing the different types of bhakti. So what is the what is the function of the Eastern division? Bhakti Bheda Nirupana, or to describe the various types of bhakti. So, Anukramena, sequentially. Vaktavyam, should be described. Yeah, Vaktavyam. What should be sequentially described? Laharinam Chatushtayam. The fourness of Lahari. What does Lahari mean?
Lahari means wave, right?
So, Chatushtayam, the fourness, Laharinam, of the waves. Vaktavya ought to be described sequentially. So here in this Eastern division, describing the very different types of bhakti, the fourness of the waves ought to be described. Is the four waves, will now be described sequentially. So we came to know that in the Eastern division, how many waves are there?
4 laharis?
4. Chatushtaya, fourness of waves will be described sequentially. What are the 4 waves? This is Adya, Samanya, Bhakti. So this is the names of the waves basically. So please repeat after me. Adya, Samanya, Bhaktyadhya.
Adya Samanya Bhaktyadhya.
Dvitiya, Sadhananvita.
Dvitiya Sadhananvita.
Bhavashrita, Tritiya cha.
Bhavashrita Tritiya cha.
Turya, Prema Nirupika.
Turya Prema Nirupika.
Simple verse. So, Adya. So, Lahari is, what is the meaning of Lahari?
Wave.
So, Lahari is Striling, feminine gender. So, all the terms describing Lahari are feminine gender basically. Adya, the first lady, the first Lahari. The first Lahari. Adhya is, embedded with, is decorated with which bhakti?
Samanya Bhakti.
Is the first wave is decorated with Samanya Bhakti. But basically bhakti in general. Dvitiya. What does Dvitiya mean?
The second.
The second Lahari, or the second wave. Sadhana Anvita. Anvita means is connected. So basically Sadhana Anvita, Sadhana Anvita. Anvita is connected with Sadhana Bhakti. Tritiya. What does Tritiya mean?
The third.
The third. Bhavashrita. Ashrita. Bhava Ashrita. Bhava is sheltered in.
Under Bhav.
Is sheltered in which bhakti?
Bhav Bhakti.
then cha, and there is a cha above.
Hmm.
Can you see cha?
Hmm.
Turya. What does turya mean? Fourth.
The fourth.
The fourth what?
Prema Nirupika.
The
The
fourth
fourth
what?
Lahari. The fourth
Lahari.
Lahari.
Nirupika is the describer. Nirupika of which bhakti?
Prema Bhakti.
This is the plain vanilla translation. Alright, please read.
The first Lahari is decorated with Samanya Bhakti, Bhakti in general. The second is connected with Sadhana Bhakti. The
Sadhan
third,
bhakti. Sadhan bhakti.
Sadhan Bhakti. The third is sheltered in Bhava Bhakti. And the fourth is the describer of Prema Bhakti.
So you got to know the names of the four laharis here. So now the 10th verse of the Prathama Lahari of the Purva Vibhag. So what does Pratham Lahari? What was the meaning? What was the name of the Pratham Lahari?
The name of the Pratham Lahari was it describes Samanya Bhakti.
So Samanya Bhakti.
Samanya Bhakti. Oh, so Samanya Bhakti is the name of the whole Lahari itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So then,
Yeah.
then and when second Lahari will begin 1.2, that will be which Bhakti?
Sadhana Bhakti.
Sadhan Bhakti.
Sadhan Bhakti.
1.3
Will be Bhav Bhakti.
1.4 will be
Prem Bhakti.
These are the lines. Now, please repeat after me. Tatradau sushtu vaishishtyam
Tatradau sushtu vaishishtyam
astyah kathayitum sphutam
asya kathayitum sphutam
lakshanam kriyate bhakter
lakshanam kriyate bhakter
uttamaya satam matam.
uttamaya satam matam.
So, again, tatra. Therein. Therein means in which lahari?
In the first one, in Samanya Bhakti.
Samanya Bhakti. Sphutam kathayitum. Sphutam kathayitum. Kathayitum means in order to speak, in order to describe. Describe how? Sphutam. What is the meaning of sphutam?
Sphutam means with
Clearly.
clearly, right?
In order to, actually, in order to is that sense is there in kathayitum, but I'm just including it in order to clearly. So clearly, this itself is the meaning of sphutam. Clearly, in order to is actually in kathayitum. In order to clearly narrate or describe. Let's just put it describe. Describe what? Vaishishtyam. To describe what?
Vaishishtyam.
What is Vaishishtya? Vishishtasya bhavam. Vishishtasya bhavam Vaishishyam. So Vishishta means special. Vishishta means what?
Special.
Vaishishtya, specialty. Okay, so in order to clearly describe the specialty, specialty of whom? Asyaha. Of this lady. Which lady?
of Samanya Bhakti.
Of bhakti.
Of Bhakti itself, okay.
Of bhakti. Of bhakti.
Oh, okay.
Lakshana. Lakshanam. The characteristics of whom? Of that same bhakti.
Of Bhakti.
So we'll put asyah above. Asyah we will just say her. That will make a
okay, so this will be, so Bhakti in general should be talked about to first define what it is properly before getting into the specifics.
Right. Bhakti uttamaya. Characteristics of uttama bhakti. Kriyate. Described. Satam matam. As accepted, as acceptable.
The sadhus.
Let's just see if we made a legible translation here. Please read.
Therein, in order to clearly describe her specialty, the characteristics of Uttama Bhakti are described as acceptable to the sadhus.
Yeah. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhu.
So, in order to clearly describe her specialty, Rupa Goswami wants to, what is special about bhakti? You could have, why you are writing Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ, what is so special about bhakti? So, in order to describe what is special about bhakti, first and foremost, the characteristics of which bhakti?
Of Uttama Bhakti.
Are described. These characteristics are described as they are acceptable to whom?
The sadhus.
The sadhus. Now, tatra adav iti. So, the verse begins with tatra adav. Tatra. What does tatra means? Purva vibhaga gata prathama laharyam. In the first prathama lahari, which is within which vibhag?
Purva vibhag.
Adav. Adav means, did we do adav? Oh, we didn't do adav. Adav. No, there. Firstly, we will put tatra. Firstly, therein, comma, in order to. Adav means firstly, basically, in the beginning. Adav, prathamata eva, firstly itself. Uttamaya bhakter, lakshanam kriyate. So the characteristics, lakshanam kriyate, are being described. Of which bhakti?
Uttama Bhakti.
So, what does it mean? Pratipadyatvena vidhiyate. So basically, these characteristics are pratipadya. They are basically, what does it mean that Uttama Bhakti is the pratipadya? Pratipadya means Uttama Bhakti is the main topic of this literature. Vidhiyate. So the characteristics are being described in such a way that it makes it very clear that Uttama Bhakti is pratipadya. Pratipadya means the main topic of this entire literature. So Uttama bhaktir lakshanam uttamaya bhaktir lakshanam kriyate. So, first and foremost, Uttama bhakti's lakshan characteristics will be described. Lakshana means what?
Characteristics.
So does it mean that later you will also describe characteristics of Madhyama bhakti, Adhama bhakti? Will you do that? So no. Pratipadyatvena vidiyate. This Uttama bhakti itself will become the main topic of bhakti. Uttama bhakti itself will become bhakti. Basically, bhakti will become equal to which bhakti?
Bhakti will be equal to Uttama bhakti.
Na tu sarvatmikaya. Not that all-encompassing bhakti. No. Only which bhakti? Only.
So no devotees will ever be struggling with anarthas or anything, ever.
Yeah. So this is like a textbook definition, basically. So, tatra hetu. What is the reason behind doing so? So, reason is sushtu vaishishtyam kathetu. In order to specifically bring out her specialties. So why, if she is not Uttama, then her specialties will not come out? So Jīva Gosvāmī says, Anyatra, in other places, where bhakti is not Uttama, where bhakti is not
Uttama.
What happens? Anyabhilasha, Jnana, Karma, Avritattvena. So because of having Anyabhilash, because of being Avrita. Avrita means what?
Being
covered.
Covered by, okay.
By what?
Jnana and karma, etc.
Karma, etc. Apurna balatvat. Her bala, her strength is what? Apurna.
Not complete.
Not complete. So, etad amshata eva asyas tadrishatva vyaktehe. So, to the degree, basically, she is incomplete. To that degree only she manifests. To the degree that she is complete, to that degree only she manifests herself. So basically, what he's trying to say is, let's say, if you want to define gold, so how much percentage of gold should be there in order to say that this is gold?
Like this is only gold.
Like if you want to define gold,
it should be 100% only gold then.
Gold. So yeah, so anyatra, in other places, if there is some mixture with gold, can you really define gold by bringing such a metal?
No, because then it's
amshata eva. It's only partially, it has goldness, tadrishatva vyakte. So therefore, if you bring something other than Uttama bhakti, then it only has bhakti partially within it. So therefore, you want bhakti, like, I've always given this example. Like, I am your suhrid, I am your near and dear one. You ask me, Hari Parshad Das, get a glass of water, and I bring you 4 glasses of water, and I say glass 1 is fully impure water, glass 2 is half pure water, glass 3 is almost pure water, glass 4 is completely pure water. So which water should I give you?
The completely pure one.
Why?
That's the preferable one to drink.
Because Suhrid, na? I am Suhridam Pramodaya. The literature is being written for whose joy?
For those who are near and dear to Rupa Goswami's heart.
So those who are near and dear, what will you give to those who are near and dear?
The best.
The best. Therefore, Uttama bhakti. The aim here is not to satisfy all the pandits in the world. The aim is to satisfy those who are near and dear to Rupa Goswami. So, so etad amshata eva asyas tadrishatva vyaktehe. So basically, Jīva Gosvāmī then quotes Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Kinchana. So there is a verse that one who has a Kinchana Bhakti means one pointed devotion. Like Uttama Bhakti, Sarvai Gunais Tatra Samasate Sura, with all their good qualities, all the all the gods reside within him, basically. All the good qualities come to a person who has Uttama Bhakti. So therefore that Uttama Bhakti is the one which Rupa Goswami wants to describe. All the specialities will come to a person who has Uttama Bhakti. So this is what it is. So I hope you have understood this.
Yes, Prabhu.
So see here once again, etad amshata eva, asyas tadrishatva vyakti. So she basically what he wants to say is Bhakti will exhibit her full potential only when she is Uttama. Only when she is what?
Uttama.
Otherwise, Bhakti will not be able to. Apurna balatvat. Can you see here? He's saying otherwise she will remain apurna bala. What does apurna bala mean?
Incomplete strength.
When she has complete strength, what happens? Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana.
Sarva
Tatra samasate suraha. So we'll quickly see this verse. 5, 18, 12. Because it's important to see what is there. So yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. So all the demigods and their exalted qualities become manifest in the body of one who has developed akinchana bhakti. What is akinchana bhakti?
Akinchana, fixed devotion, fixed bhakti.
Unalloyed devotion. Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. So only when you have, the cause is if you develop akinchana bhakti. What is the effect of that?
One will gain
all the exalted qualities of gods.
Devatas.
So bhakti will fully manifest her effect only when she is akinchana. Akinchana is another way of saying which bhakti?
Uttama bhakti.
Yes, ityadischa. And there are many other verses like. So this is what it is. So we have now done till verse number 10. So now comes the verse defining Uttama Bhakti. So this verse is like is the central verse in Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ, and this verse is basically, it is in grammar, in Vyakaran, there is something known as Sangya Sutra. Sangya Sutra means a sutra which defines a particular term. So in this literature, Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ, this is the Sangya Sutra. This is the sutra which defines bhakti. But then there are some sutras which are Sangya and Adhikar sutras. Do you know what is an Adhikar sutra?
It describes the significance or authoritativeness, I'm assuming.
There is Adhikar sutra. What is the meaning of Adhikar sutra? So let's say, I just give you a simple example of what is Adhikar. In grammar, what is the meaning of Adhikar sutra? Let's say in grammar, in very simple layman terms, I'm explaining what is Adhikar. Let's say you are writing a manual for traffic rules. You're writing a manual for what?
Traffic rules.
Okay. So, and you are writing it in the form of short sutras. So now you Sutra 1. Now traffic rules. Okay. 2. So this sutra, now traffic rules. So if Sutra 2 says for California. Okay. Sutra 3 says a signal is an indicator. So we have to write in every sutra now traffic rules. This is a traffic rule.
No.
Why?
Because everything has already been qualified by that previous statement.
This sutra, although it is Sutra 1, its adhikar, its influence goes till the end of the book. I hope you're able to understand.
Yes.
So in every sutra you don't have to write now traffic rule for, you could have written here, now traffic rules for California. But if you write this, you're just repeating the previous sutra. So this sutra is extending its adhikar over the entire literature. This is called Adhikar Sutra. Which sutra it is?
Adhikar Sutra.
So I hope you are able to understand. So
yes,
it indicates that till the end of the literature, the adhikar or the domain of this sutra is going to exist. I hope it is clear.
Yes,
so these are known as Adhikar Sutras in grammar, in Vyakaran. So similarly, when this verse is going to define one bhakti. Which bhakti?
Uttama Bhakti.
And this verse, the domain of this verse is going to stay till the end of the literature. Hope you are able to. So this is Sangya Sutra, and also which sutra?
Adhikar Sutra.
So the next verse, this is not a sutra literature. This literature is not composed using sutras, but sometimes you compare sutra literature and other literature. So if this literature is to be compared to a sutra literature, then this will become the Sangya Sutra and Adhikar Sutra of Bhakti-rasāmṛta. So Sangya means you define something. So what are you defining in this particular verse?
Uttama Bhakti.
And the Adhikar of this verse will stay till where?
Till for the whole literature.
For the entirety of the literature. So that is what it is. So I have explained, I have given some background of what is going to come next. So we will pause here today, because next what is going to come next is a big discussion in itself. Uttama Bhakti is what is going to come next. Our Sangya and Adhikar Sutra is going to come next. All right. So anything to ask before we pause?
No problem.
All right. So we'll pause for today, and next time we are going to have a look at the definition of Uttama Bhakti. Jīva Gosvāmī's commentary is elaborate, to say. It's elaborate. Basically, we will see what are all the aspects of this one verse. And this verse is considered to be now the standard definition of Bhakti in many Vaishnava Sampradayas. Many Vaishnavas, irrespective of Sampradaya, they quote this as the definition of Bhakti. So I have also sometimes spoken on this topic, the best definition of Bhakti. But I could not cover all the aspects of this verse. All the aspects will be covered by Shri Jīva Gosvāmī. All right. So we'll pause here and we'll continue next time. Today was our session number 9th. Next time will be our session number 10th. So we'll end with Mangalacharan once again. Please repeat after me. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Churunmilitam Yena
Chakshurunmilitam Yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Sthapitam Yena Bhutale
Sthapitam Yena Bhutale
Soyam Rupah Kadamahyam
Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam
ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्।
ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
प्रभु नित्यानंद
प्रभु नित्यानंद
यद्वैत गदाधर
श्री अद्वैत गदाधर
श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद।
श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद।
हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे राम
हरे राम
राम राम हरे हरे।
राम राम हरे हरे।
रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय
श्री जीव गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव जय।
जय
हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण।